popping out, so you're just gonna make peace with that. There we go.
What is that, like small to large or large to small, or is it just one?
You just kind of do whatever you want. It doesn't sound bad.
Nice little jazz then.
You're always in the same court.
Let's see. I think we can take out leave her getting straight together. Yeah.
I'm gonna sit back.
Okay. Wait, no, you have to
Thank you, Juan. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pat McClard. My pronouns are he, him, and I am a white man, late middle age, on the tall side unless the urbans are around. I want to welcome everyone who's here today and who's online. It is a hearty crew that have joined us here in the church today. And I will be serving as the worship associate this morning and call us to worship. I invite you to take a breath with me and center yourselves fully in this moment. I call us to worship with this prayer adapted from Reverend Michelle Collins. Spirit of connections and love, bless the many ways we resist. Bless those who march and organize, those who cook, donate, and write. Bless those who tend to the weary, who pray or hold vigil, those who say, rest now, I'll take this shift. Let this wide circle honor every offering, visible or unseen. May we release the myths that define resistance in certain ways and remember instead the truth of shared power. May we be released from the stranglehold of white supremacy notions that teach us to be nice, and may we instead practice brave, uncomfortable truth-telling. May this be our prayer, to sustain one another's courage until quiet faith and public fire become one movement of love. A flaming chalice has been one symbol of Unitarian Universalism for many decades, a symbol of hope, of reason, of the spark of the divine that shines in all of us. We join our siblings in faith each Sunday by lighting our chalice here in our sanctuary. For those joining us online, we invite you to light a flame wherever you are as we kindle our flame with these words adapted from Reverend Dr. David Breeden. We gather into this circle of care, to dream, to envision, to embody, and achieve. The compassion we dream, the justice we envision, the dignity of each in an ever-growing circle of love and justice.
Please rise as you're willing or able for our opening hymn, number 170, We Are a Gentle, Angry People, and we'll sing verses 1 through 4.
We are gentle and we
Thank you, everyone. All right. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. We are a people of many ages, histories, genders, bodies, identities, and beliefs, who are connected by a shared commitment to our mission to build community, seek inspiration, promote justice, and find peace. My name is Julia Cronin. My pronouns are she, her, and I have the honor of serving on the worship committee and leading today's service. If you are a visitor here today, do we have any visitors here today? No, it's like Pat said, a hearty crew that made it here today. So I would like to offer a special welcome to everyone that made it today in this weather. If you're at home and haven't looked out your window yet, it's a little snowy. And if you are joining us via our live stream, please say hello in the YouTube chat and know that you too are welcome here this morning, and maybe you've made better choices than some of us here. We are a congregation of all ages, but again, not today. So the kids are snug at home, but if anyone who is here needs to grab a coloring pack from the entryway, keep your hands busy. If you need space to wiggle, stretch, make a bathroom trip, you can go across the entryway into Fellowship Hall, where our service is being live streamed. If it wasn't clear yet, we're going to be pulling a lot of audibles today. Everyone who sat next to me this morning got a job. Yeah, all of that said, how's everyone doing this morning? I've been a little stressed. Anyone else been a little stressed lately? Yeah. I managed to develop an ulcer in my throat, which fortunately or unfortunately for all of you hasn't managed to shut me up. But I'm having to think a little more carefully about when and how I let myself dwell on some of the things going on in our country. Had to turn my phone off for a couple of days. And I hope that you are all doing that for yourselves too, ulcers or no. Our service next week, led by Mike Rupsch, will be about fostering resilience, which he is way more qualified to teach you about than Ulcer Girl. So for this morning's service, I started writing this back in the fall. And unfortunately, it has just gotten more relevant as the months have gone on. And it is a little on the heavy side, but my hope is that, if nothing else, it can help you to move some of that emotional weight into more useful and appropriate places. Reverend Beth has told me that you should preach from your scars and not your wounds. And I literally have an open wound right now. So that's my disclosure and my disclaimer, and I'm gonna try to stay off of it as much as I can. But that's where we're at today. And if you have any hopefully metaphorical open wounds right now, or if this topic is more than you can lift today, that's totally fine. And I would be really happy to talk to you about it on a day that's a little bit warmer. All right, and now I'm going to welcome Jocelyn up here for our Time for All Ages, which she found out she was doing just this morning. So thank you, Jocelyn.
My name is Jocelyn Karsk, and I am a middle-aged white woman with short gray hair, and I'm wearing a red sweater today. And I'm going to read a book called Something Happened in Our Town. It's a children's story about racial injustice. There's no youth today, but if you're young at heart, anybody who wants to come up front and join me, you're welcome. You're welcome up here. Something bad happened in our town. The news was on the TV, the radio, and the internet. The grown-ups didn't think the kids knew about it, but the kids in Mrs. Garcia's class heard some older kids talking about it, and they had questions. After school, Emma asked her mother, "Why did the police shoot that man?" "It was a mistake," said her mother. "I feel sad for the man and his family." "Yes, the police thought he had a gun," said her father. "It wasn't a mistake," said her sister Liz. "The cop shot him because he was black." Emma was confused. "He is brown, not black," she said. "Some black people have dark brown skin, and some have light brown skin," Emma's father explained. "Black usually means African American. Most of their ancestors were brought here from Africa as slaves." "I know what a slave is," said Emma. "That's when you have to do whatever the other person says." "Yes, slaves had to do whatever white people told them to do. Even after slavery ended, white people didn't let black people live where they wanted to, go to school with white people, or vote." "Who are white people?" "White people came here from places in Europe or Russia or other countries. We are white, even though our skin is light tan." "Did our family do those bad things a long time ago?" asked Emma. "Yes," answered her mother. "Back when many white people thought that they were better than black people, even though it wasn't true." Liz added, Some white people still think most black men and boys are dangerous, even though they are not." "Was the man that got shot dangerous?" asked Emma. "No," her mother said. "Shooting him was a mistake. It was a mistake that is part of a pattern." "Like the pattern on my blanket?" Emma asked. "Yes. But this pattern is being nice to white people and mean to black people. It's an unfair pattern." "Suppose you had a birthday party and invited everyone in your class except the black kids," her mother said. "How would the black kids feel?" "They would be sad," said Emma, "or mad." "And you would be missing out because you never know who is going to be your best friend," said Liz. "And you can help others to be fair," said her mother. "Like telling Anna to stop teasing Ling about her name?" asked Emma. Her mother gave her a hug. "Yes, just like that." In another house, Josh asked his mother, "Can police go to jail?" "Yes," said his mother. "Why do you ask?" "That white policeman who shot the black man," said Josh. "Will he go to jail?" "What he did was wrong," said his mother. "But he won't go to jail," said his father. "Why not?" asked Josh. "Cops stick up for each other," said Josh's brother Malcolm, "and they don't like black men." Josh was confused. "Why not? Some police are black." "You're right," said his mother. "Uncle James is a police officer, and so is my friend Kenya." "There are many cops, black and white, who make good choices," said his father. "But we can't always count on them to do what's right." Malcolm added, I could get stopped by the police just because I'm black, even if I don't do anything wrong." "That's not fair," Josh said. "What if it was a white man in the car? Would the police have shot him?" "They probably wouldn't have even stopped the car," said his father. "Sometimes white people are treated better than black people," said his mother. "But it's not right. Everybody should be treated fairly." Josh's mother gave him a hug. "We're proud of who we are. Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King Jr., and Nelson Mandela were strong and brave black leaders. They showed us that we can stand up for our rights and set good examples for others. They were treated unfairly, but helped others learn to be more fair." "Some people haven't learned yet," said his father angrily. "Why are you mad?" asked Josh. "I'm mad we're still treated poorly sometimes, but I can use my anger to make things better," said his father. "Black people have a lot of power if we work together to make changes." I have power, Josh said, and I'm smart. His father smiled. You're right. His mother added, and you can change people's hearts by sticking up for someone who is not treated fairly. Like how Malcolm sticks up for me when the kids tease me about my glasses, Josh asked. He tells them to step off. Just like that, his parents said. The next day, a new kid joined Emma and Josh's class. His name was Omad, and he was from a country far away. Omad didn't know where to sit or what to do because it was his first day in school. He talked a little bit, but it was hard to understand him. He said he was learning English. After lunch, the class went outside to play soccer. Daniel and Sophia picked kids to be on their teams. All of the kids were picked to be on a team except Omad. Daniel said Omad probably didn't know how to play because he was new. Sophia said Omad might not be good at soccer. Josh remembered what his mother had said about sticking up for people who were treated unfairly. Emma remembered what her mother said about unfair patterns and birthday parties. All of a sudden, Omad wasn't alone. Emma and Josh were leading him to their team. We have enough kids on our team, Daniel said. We don't need him. But Josh was ready. Step off, he said. He's playing. Yeah, said Emma. We don't want to miss out. And just like that, Emma and Josh gained a new friend and started a better pattern in their school. Oh, and now is the time for joys. Here we go.
And sorrows. We are nothing if not smooth with our transitions. Each week, we practice spiritual generosity by making space for the joys and sorrows we carry with us whenever we gather. We begin this practice with an embodied ritual of singing a blessing song, and today you will be invited to come forward during that song to drop a stone for a sorrow, or a petal for a joy, or light a candle. You are invited to use our Joys and Sorrows cards to handwrite a joy or sorrow, or submit them by email to joysandsorrows@uuc.org. We will not be reading them aloud this morning, but we will share any joys and sorrows that we receive in next week's service. This morning, we want to recognize that a man was shot and killed in Minneapolis yesterday, and we are, I'm sure, all reacting to this with sorrow, fear, anger, some combination of all of the above. And those feelings are important and will take some time to process. I will light one candle for that general sorrow.
My name is Steve Herzog. I am reading the Community Matters and offering by virtue of being here physically. We live our mission at this congregation by connecting to day and week to week through the opportunities both within and beyond our walls. We invite you to subscribe and read our weekly e-news to stay up to date on all of the activities offered through our Faith Development Program and our Congregational Life and Social Actions Council. This morning, I want to highlight a few things. Sign up now for our next coffee house on February 21st in support of our Pathways to Plenty program, Generosity Pledge Drive. The coffee house is an all-ages talent fest not to be missed. Sign up now to sing, dance, tell stories, or whatever talent you would like to share. We also need talent for setting up, bringing treats, and clearing up after, so whatever your skills, they are welcome. Our next Bring a Friend to Choir night is coming soon. If you've been curious about singing in a choir, then come sing with us on Wednesday, February 11th from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. in the sanctuary. MR, our choir director, invites you to join your friends in the UU choir to see if this might be the right fit for you. Read more details about these and other events in our e-news and check out the full calendar of our events in Realm. Each Sunday, in recognition of our very real interdependence and reliance on each other, we pass the plate and share our offering with an organization doing the work of justice in the world. Our shared offering partner for January is Planned Parenthood in Illinois, which continues to provide medical services and community education and outreach for thousands across the state. As reproductive health and gender-affirming care face constant attacks at the national level, Planned Parenthood of Illinois remains a beacon of care in our region. You can give through Realm and via the online portal on our website, or if you're here in the sanctuary, the basket will be passed, I think, and checks can be made out to UUCUC, and in the memo put shared offering. Half of all non-pledged donations will go towards sustaining the work of this church, and the other half will go directly to our shared offering partner. Sam Bashir's here will sing for our offering music today, and the ushers who are here will come forward as our offertory music begins, and we invite you to give whatever is generous for you.
Hollis Brown, he lived on the outside of town. Hollis Brown, he lived on the outside of town. With his wife and 5 children and his cabin broken down. You looked for work and money and you walked a ragged mile. You looked for work and money and you walked a ragged mile. Your children are so hungry they don't know how to smile. The rats have got your flour, bad blood have got your mare. The rats have got your flour and bad blood have got your mare. If there's anyone that knows, is there anyone that cares? You prayed to the Lord above, oh please send you a friend. You prayed to the Lord above, oh please send you a friend. Your empty pockets tell you that you ain't got no friend. Your grass is turning black, there's no water in your well. Your grass is turning black, there's no water in your well. You spent your last lone dollar on 7 shotgun shells. Way out in the wilderness, a cold coyote calls. Way out in the wilderness, a cold coyote calls. Your eyes fix on the shotgun that's hanging on the wall. There's 7 breezes blowing all around the cabin door. There's 7 breezes blowing all around the cabin door. 7 shots ring out like the ocean's pounding roar. There's 7 people dead on a South Dakota farm. There's 7 people dead on a South Dakota farm. Somewhere in the distance, there's 7 new people born.
This step stool really wants to be out, so I'm going to just be tall today. Thank you, Sam. All right. Now, before I begin, I would like to ask each of you in your own heads, when was the last time you did something violent? I think it's an interesting question to ask in a space like this, where I think many of you would consider yourself a pacifist or at least against violence. And in fact, in this very building, I've found myself in multiple theoretical discussions around nonviolence. And in every case, the conversation wound its way fairly quickly to the same hypothetical. A man breaks into your house in the night with the intent to harm you. Do you kill this man? And when myself and others failed to capitulate to this hypothetical, other elements were added in pursuit of a certain line. Where is the line where you would kill a person? If your child's life was in danger, what would it take for you to commit violence? And the trajectory of this conversation made me uncomfortable for a lot of reasons, but the first is that I have been in that scenario, and my dad was in the second. When I was 15, we lived in a really crappy ground floor apartment with a landlord that never fixed anything, including the lock on our patio door. So early one morning, a strange man walked in and woke me up. I didn't kill him. I could barely see more than a blurry outline without my glasses, and I was half asleep, so I asked him, "What time is it?" And he said, "It's almost 5 a.m. And I was 15, so I said, 5 more minutes. But I started to wake up a little more, enough to realize that this was not a normal situation. So I said, "I don't think you're supposed to be here." And he said, "What do you mean? I live here." And I said, "No, I think you're confused. I think you've got the wrong apartment." And he explained that he thought I was his girlfriend, and we lived together in that apartment, and my stuff was our stuff, and we debated the facts for a few minutes. And it was so surreal, and he was so certain that I started to think, you know what, maybe this is a dream. Maybe he's right in the dream. And I said, I gave up. I said, I'm going back to sleep. And then he started taking his pants off. And that's when my dad walked in and saw what was happening. And my dad didn't kill this man. He made a lot of noise. He grabbed him. He dragged him to the living room. He made him sit on the couch, and he called the police. We found out that the man had a brain tumor caused by AIDS. He'd been picked up by the police the night before for erratic behavior, was taken to the hospital. He had no insurance, and the hospital discharged him onto the street at 3 in the morning with nowhere to go and no ride in a town with no public transportation. He walked for almost 2 hours until he reached our apartment where he had lived 10 years before. And I am so grateful that nobody killed this man. It would have been a senseless loss of life and a horrible trauma that would have injured me immeasurably. And I think it would have made me love my father less if he was the sort of person that could kill a man in that situation. But instead of traumatizing me, that experience radicalized me. It opened my eyes to the horrible violence that our institutions commit every day. The man that broke into our apartment didn't hurt me, but what if he had? Would I really think of that as violence committed by him, someone who didn't know what year it was? Violence done to me would have been done by our shitty landlord who didn't fix the lock. Violence done to me would have been done by the hospital that kicked him out, and the community that provided no resources or response networks or care structures for people in his situation besides the police. Violence done to me would have been committed by the medical system that refused to treat him because they couldn't make money off of it, and the pharmaceutical companies that charged too much for HIV and AIDS medication and made it unobtainable for him. Violence done to me would have been committed by the US government, which intentionally let the AIDS epidemic spiral out of control because it was seen as only killing undesirables. But what do we talk about when we talk about violence? We talk about a man breaking into your house at night. We talk about individual interactions that are statistically really unlikely, especially if you are white, especially if you are financially secure. Friedrich Engels coined the term social murder, saying, when one individual inflicts bodily injury upon another such that death results, we call the deed manslaughter. When the assailant knew in advance that the injury would be fatal, we call his deed murder. But when society places thousands of proletarians in such a position that they inevitably meet a too early and an unnatural death, knows that these thousands of victims must perish and yet permits these conditions to remain, its deed is murder, just as surely as the deed of the individual. Disguised, malicious murder, murder against which none can defend himself, which does not seem what it is because no man sees the murderer, because the death of the victim seems a natural one, because the offense is more one of omission than commission. But murder it remains. All of those institutions I listed, except the crappy landlord, he gets a pass, they murdered that man. They did commit violence. I don't know when he died, but that was 20 years ago this spring. He was in his 40s. And two of those institutions, community and government, well, they include all of us, folks. These engines of social murder, they commit violence in our names, with our money, and often, if we are privileged, to our benefit. Does everyone here remember the term carbon footprint? Yeah, it was coined by British Petroleum to shift responsibility for the climate crisis from oil companies to individuals. But One thing this marketing ploy accidentally revealed was this. The global average carbon footprint is 4 tons per year. If you, as a resident of the United States, lived an ecologically perfect life, it would be literally impossible to reduce your carbon footprint below 8.5 tons per year when taking into account fossil fuels burned by US infrastructure, government services, and especially the military, all on your behalf. And climate change is deadly. Forget thousands of proletarians, millions of deaths per year, according to the World Health Organization. And our society permits these conditions to remain. That's social murder. So let's keep talking statistics, because if you know me, you know I love to stand at a pulpit and preach statistics. What's the likelihood of you being murdered in a home invasion in the US? So not accounting for social privilege or population density, which helps us out, it's about 1 in 3.5 million. You are 17 times more likely to die of heat stroke. And heat stroke deaths have increased by 500% in the last 20 years. Compared to a home invasion, you are 2,000 times more likely to die due to underinsurance or inadequate access to health care. And compared to a home invasion, you are 8,000 times more likely to experience homelessness, which increases just about every kind of premature death you can experience. But you know where there are a lot of home invasions happening right now? It's Minneapolis. And here's where I'm going to let the ulcer talk for just a minute, so bear with me. Because we are horrified by the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, and the at least 40 people who have died either in ICE custody or fleeing from ICE in the past year. But while this violence is more brazen, and it is less apologized for, and it is targeting people that once would have been off limits, I would like us to acknowledge that the violence is not new. I mean, it was 5.5 years ago that George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis. And the invasion of Venezuela is not markedly different from the invasion of Iraq or Afghanistan or the 60 other regime changes the United States has participated in since the end of World War II. This country overthrew the sovereign governments of every indigenous nation within our current borders. This is not a change of character. It is a change of narrative. This country was founded on violence since the first person was brought here in slavery, since the first native village was burned. But what do we talk about when we talk about violence? Violent crime in the US has been declining for longer than I have been alive. But the hysteria over it goes up and up and up. Why? Who benefits from making us so afraid of something so unlikely while we tolerate enormous rates of social murder? Well, in some ways we do. Because you see that home invasion scenario, there is an element of fantasy there. It is a perfectly encapsulated moment of violence, discreet and controllable and easy to get your head around. It's acute, it calls for a single reaction, and then it's done. But that's not what violence usually looks like. And of course, the greatest beneficiaries of the interpersonal violence narrative are the wealthy. The corporations that could make a buck selling us violence against our fellow human beings. Those Ring cameras people bought to protect themselves against burglars are being used by ICE to track their targets. The gold and the diamonds in your jewelry box, where did those come from? The gas and lithium in your car, the fast fashion in your closet, the tungsten and tin in your phone, the tantalum in your medical devices, the beef in your burger, and the plastic, oh my God, the plastic. It's overwhelming. The scope is really overwhelming. There's that phrase, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, and I have never heard that as a rallying cry. I have only ever heard it as, I give up. There's no point, I can't do it, I can't lower that carbon footprint. Well, you as an individual can't. You as an individual can do your best. You can buy less stuff, and you can fix the stuff you've got, and you can choose the least bad option. But we as a community, we as a people standing up to institutional power, hey, the most effective way to reduce all our carbon footprints would be to keep kids out of the military. Violence is big. In this country, violence is the water we swim in. And as citizens of the global north, it is redundant and frankly ridiculous to ask, what would it take for you to commit violence? We commit violence 1,000 times a day. What would it take for us to stop? It's a question we have to answer together. And in the meantime, I won't challenge you to root out all of the little violences in your life because you can't, not alone. But I do challenge you to stop picturing your neighbors when you talk about violence. Resisting institutional power requires that we stop accepting its premises, and premise number one is that the greatest threat to your life is the person next to you on the bus. Resist this alluring narrative that you, oh, perfect citizen, are a bastion of peace compared to a rioter or a mugger. Did the rioter do more damage than your tax dollars in a police budget? Did the mugger steal more than you took from the global south this week, or was it just easier to count? So for every other fear that you might be carrying with you today, this fear of your neighbor, you can put that one away. It's not serving you, it's not serving us. And when you see something on the news, on TV, on social media that frightens you or enrages you, stop and ask, who does this serve? When we talk about violence, let's not pretend that we're above it. When we talk about violence, let's talk about where it really comes from. And when we talk about violence, let's talk about how we can resist it together. May it be so, and amen. Now I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our closing song, number 34 in the gray hymnal, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
And
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.